It made me think about the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer. It made me so mad that the Lady Ghostbusters movie that came out some years ago that I did not like. I actually hate that movie. I'm not a fan. I don't think it was any good.
You're the only one that can do something. Please don't be like the mayor in Jaws.
Never compare me to the Jaws mayor. Never!
People that hated that movie, that like were sending hate mail to Leslie Jones and stuff like that, those people are gonna fucking love this new Ghostbusters movie. They're gonna love Jason Reitman trying to like meld his love for his father into his love for the Ghostbusters franchise into this weird Amblin Super 8 meets Stranger Things like horse shit where we pretend in a movie that involved Dan Aykroyd getting a blowjob from a ghost is worthy of some sort of like mythic reinterpretation or whatever. Like, good for the people that are going to enjoy that. Hi everyone, I'm Dom Griffin. I'm a film critic and you're watching The Armchair Auteur. This is an ongoing video series I do where we talk about new movies, old movies, screenplay analysis, television series reviews, that sort of thing. So if you like movies and you like movie adjacent popular culture, you want to see somebody pick those things apart, you're in the right place and you should consider subscribing. Well, it's here. Today is the day that I must review Ghostbusters Afterlife, a film that I had zero interest in watching, but that I was still open to maybe surprising me. I was not surprised. More than maybe any movie that I've seen all year, I got precisely what I expected. No more, no less. Whatever movie you think you're gonna end up watching based on the trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, that is essentially shot for shot the movie in your head. That's the movie you're gonna see when you go to theaters. That is what the trailers and the marketing have delivered. And I guess on some level I have to applaud that level of honesty and transparency. But this movie did absolutely nothing for me. When it comes to sequels, reboots, and reimaginings, I think the simplest way to make a movie based on existing IP, if you're gonna do that and not just make something original, is to stick what made the original special. Ideally, you should be doing this with flawed, imperfect media so that you actually stand a chance at improving upon the source material. Take something that didn't quite work the first time around, put a new spin on it, and people will call you some kind of creative genius. But if you absolutely must follow up a classic movie, try not to stray so far away from what made it work in the first place, even if you do switch things up enough to make it your own.
Get away from her, you bitch. I believe the line is stay away from her, you bitch. It's film class, right?
Let's be very clear about why people like Ghostbusters. It's a comedy. A really, really funny comedy that happens to feature ghosts. It's not the mythology or all the ephemera Dan Aykroyd fit into the original screenplay. It's the fact that the director and cast and core concept worked so well in concert that it produced one of the most singular, effective, and rewatchable comedies of all time. I don't even think another genre-themed comedy has even come close outside of maybe Barry Sonnenfeld's Men in Black. The biggest reason people claim they didn't like Lady Ghostbusters was that the movie was too far removed from what made the original movies fun. It's still a comedy, albeit a largely unfunny one, but it has an exorbitant budget and turns into a humongous action movie that feels too much like a modern tentpole and not enough like its scrappy ancestor. So when Jason Reitman, son of original Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman, came on board to rethink the franchise and bring it back to its roots, did he conjure a scruffy, laughs-first return to form that would please the masses? No, actually. He did the same misguided thing that Paul Feig did, but he did it in such a targeted and calculated way that all the same people that bash that movie and despise it are gonna lap this shit right up. And quite frankly, it makes me kind of sick. If you've seen the trailers, you can tell the general gist of Ghostbusters Afterlife. It moves to a small Midwestern town where a young woman played by Carrie Coon must live with her son, played by Finn Wolfhard, and her daughter, played by McKenna Grace, on the dirt farm left to her by her deadbeat father, who I imagine you can already tell was Egon Spengler. They discover all the ghostbusting shit he left behind and have to, once again, save the world from the same shit the Ghostbusters saved it from in 1984. This is essentially The Force Awakens, but for Ghostbusters. It's deeply reverent, dripping with nostalgia, and it is a largely earnest action-adventure movie with mild comedic undertones. I say mild because I did not laugh during this movie one single solitary time. Not once. I came close to chuckling a couple of times because even I, at my cynical self, am not immune to Paul Rudd's charms. But otherwise it is an entire movie full of moments that make you go, huh, that's funny, but will never actually make you laugh. Now I have to be clear, this movie is fine for what it is. I think McKenna Grace is actually really charming and fun as the lead, as Egon Spengler's long-lost granddaughter, and I think the little cast of kids they kind of build around her is pretty cute. I think Logan Kim, who plays a kid named Podcast, is really fun, except for the fact that his name is Podcast. That's really fucking stupid. And look, I'll watch anything with Carrie Coon in it, okay? I'm only human. It's got a decent enough cast, and it looks largely okay, but it just feels so lifeless and so obvious. It is so paint by the numbers. Every single beat is telegraphed. There's very little actual intrigue given that the movie's entire mystery is based in and around such blatant fan service that there's no other conceivable way for things to end than exactly the way you imagined in your mind the moment you saw the first teaser. I already made the joke earlier, this is a serious nostalgic sequel to a movie where Dan Aykroyd got a blowjob from a ghost. I know that's the thing you hear on Twitter every day, like, oh, it's the Dan Aykroyd blowjob movie. Like, yeah. But they are treating it like that movie was like the fucking Bible or something.
All of it.
The only way I can express how strange and like off-putting this entire movie is to me is it's like if you went to see a movie and there was like a little girl who discovered like some golf clubs in the attic, and then like Carl Weathers showed up to tell her how her grandfather had a hell of a swing, and then there's like a big Michael Giacchino score, and then you realize this is like a sequel to Happy Gilmore. It's like that. It's like a joke. Like this is the sort of thing that would be like an SNL parody, except it's real. It's a real movie that came out, and everyone behind it talks about it like it's a real important movie. It's dead ass serious, and I keep seeing people tweeting about how it genuinely moved them. And I do not want to be an asshole out here yucking anyone's yum, but that just troubles me on some level. Jason Reitman's press run has been about accepting this mantle and honoring his father's legacy as if it wasn't a goofy 80s comedy. And while it makes perfect sense for him to fall back onto this nepotistic duty, given how hit or miss he is as a filmmaker, it's still very sad to see. Up in the Air, Young Adult, and Thank You for Smoking showed a lot of promise, even if Labor Day and Men, Women, and Children made me think maybe he belongs in director jail. But I'd honestly rather see Josh Brolin teaching Kate Winslet how to make apple pie than another movie this obvious and this willing to cash in on the childhood memories of nerds with Funko Pop collections who just missed the days when they didn't have to adult so hard. I can't even begin to get into the weirdness of a plot surrounding Egon being a deadbeat dad in a world where the real Harold Ramis, God rest his soul, had a secret child with director Amy Heckerling, a synchronicity that seems impossible for Reitman and co-writer Gil Kenan to be unaware of. Nor do I want to dwell too hard on the curious decision to move the plot away from New York City into the American heartland, and I truly, madly, deeply do not want to be such a fandom curmudgeon about this entire affair. Because let's be real, some of you may want to see this movie, and some of you may end up loving it. Like, that's a distinct possibility. I don't want to make it seem like because you like it, something is wrong with you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not passing judgment in that way. I just couldn't stand it. I thought maybe by the time the real weapons grade nostalgia kicked in at the final act, I would finally succumb to what I was hiding from all along, but no, I just felt nothing. Maybe it's because the same day I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, I went to another screening that happened to be for a movie I was deeply, very, very passionately excited for, and a movie that I immediately feel like is one of the best of the year, if not the best movie of the year. Absolutely loved it. Stay tuned for that review in the near future. But by the time I got to this movie, like, even though I wasn't excited, even though I like actively felt like it was gonna suck, I still went in with an open mind. I still went in giving it the chance to surprise me. Like, I like being surprised by movies. I like being wowed. I like being proven wrong. I know I seem like kind of a negative guy, but I'm not mad when I get proven wrong. I love to be wrong. Especially when it comes to movies. I want movies to be good. But this feels somehow worse than all the sort of middling MCU movies that people like me tend to complain about on the internet. But I can't think about this movie without thinking about what other more mediocre memory bait awaits us in the wake of this film's potential success. Because if this movie does really well, we'll probably get another one, and it'll probably be even worse, and who knows what other typical 80s nostalgia stuff is going to have another new awkward resurgence that no one wants or needs. So with all those things said, I want to remind everybody of one very simple and controvertible fact. Everyone out there, if you're on the fence about spending money to see Ghostbusters Afterlife, I want to remind you, you can watch Ghostbusters whenever the hell you want. Ghostbusters is not going anywhere. Ghostbusters is 2 years older than me as a human being, and it still holds up. It's still funny. It's still great. It still rules. You can watch it whenever you want. You do not have to do this if you don't want to. You do not have to participate in this charade. You can just rewatch Ghostbusters at your own leisure, anytime you feel like it. You don't have to sit through this. I really couldn't stand Ghostbusters Afterlife. I just didn't like almost anything about it, other than the fact that like the main kids are cute and fun, and I would like to see them in more movies. Like, I think they're good. I would have loved it if this was just like a brand new thing they were in, but just seeing this like lifeless husk walking around in like armor made out of shit from the Ghostbusters movies I liked as a kid, it's just gross. It felt really gross to me. And after all of the hand-wringing everybody did about the Snyder Cut and how toxic it was to give in to these horrendous fans and all of the hate campaigns they launched and blah, 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 all of that stuff, I feel like people are just chill with this. They're just fine with the fact that all these people that were terrible to Leslie Jones are just getting basically what they want. It's weird. It's just weird to me. I mean, there's probably maybe think pieces that agree with me that I just haven't read, but I've just seen so many people so stoked about this movie and just like, oh, this is the Ghostbusters movie I always wanted. And I didn't ever really want a new Ghostbusters movie that badly, but if I did get one, I didn't want it to be like this. And unfortunately, if we even get more, they're just going to be like this more. It'll just be this harder. And I don't want any part of that. So yeah, those are my thoughts and feelings about Ghostbusters Afterlife. It is out tomorrow, I think, whenever. I'm not sure when I put this video up, but it's going to be out by the time you see it or right after you see it. And, you know, if you want to watch it, do you can, but don't come back and blame me for not warning you that it sucks, because I truly just couldn't stand it. But if you guys like it, if you see the movie and you really enjoy it, more power to you. I'm in no way judging you or saying you're dumb or something. This is just not for me, and I question who it's really for in the first place. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any thoughts that you'd like to share with me, don't involve calling me racial slurs over Ghostbusters, you can do that in the comments below. If you have not subscribed, this would be a great time to subscribe. You can hit the little bell icon, you get notifications whenever I put out new videos. We're nearing the end of the year. I'm going to be going to a lot of screenings in the next few weeks for a lot of for your consideration end of the year award season stuff, so there will be some videos covering those films in the near future. Stay tuned and have your notifications on so you can find out when those come out. And yeah, thank you again for watching. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, being good to yourselves and each other. I will see you in the next video. Bye.